Oh, this episode of Cinema Swirl is brought to you with the support of our backers over at patreon.com/cinemaswirl. $5 OTP backers get instant access to every episode of Cinema Swirl, a monthly exclusive bonus show where Kevin and I review bad movies. If you head over there now, we've got a vote going for this month's Swill, which will also be a sequel special. It's a sequel Swill. The vote will be live now, depending on when you're listening to this, or the episode will be live now, depending on when you're listening to this, or you'll have caught it just in between. Either way, there's loads of episodes of Cinema Swirl. They're all very good. Head on over to patreon.com/Cinema Swirl to find out more. Right, let's get swirling.
Cinema Swirl! Your one fun son, Kevin. It's episode number 117.
No.
Coming to you from the nice letter from my father where he talked about how fun I am of Hollywood, California. Looking at some movies, Mo. GP, Sam Chapman's that scene. I'm your old pal, Captain Kevin. What is wrong with you? You pulling a face at me. What?
No. I'm not the syllable adjudicator, so I'm not going to say anything about that rhyme. I liked it.
I don't like the syllable adjudicator. I've mentioned him off record with you before that I don't want them dragged into this.
No, that was the syllabus adjudicator when you were in your teaching days.
That was it, yeah. It was different situation. Look, who am I to talk about unprecedented letters from my father talking about how fun I am? You know, it's just sometimes the stars. Well, he's from the older generation. They find it hard to say these things face to face. But you don't get him texting, but he'll write a letter and he'll tell you that you're a fun son, you know. And all of you at home who are just naysaying, maybe you're just jealous that your dads didn't write you a letter calling you one fun son, Kevin.
Yes. If this was episode 1117.
Well, we'll come back around to it, won't we?
Yeah.
It still rhymes. I had an excess there. There was overspill, a second helping of rhyme, if it were. Sam, second helping is a good way to put it, because today's second helping sequel swirl, where we had an unprecedented vote of sequels for another edition of Sequel Swirl.
It has been precedented. There has previously been precedent of us doing this.
There's been a lot of precedent set here, yes.
But for once, it's not got fucking Back to the Future 3 in it. Which, you know...
You've lost! You had your chance. You've lost it. It's
You're
gone.
You're a loser. You've lost. Get off the stage.
Get off. And can I just say, even though it was probably a dead cert what was going to win, because people jump at the opportunity for a horror movie outside of October, and I don't blame you.
No.
I thought there was admirable showings from the other entries in the vote, particularly Twilight, where we didn't even receive a single angry message. So those people are never coming back to the podcast.
I was going to say, those people have permanently left the podcast and our socials. They're gone. They're long gone.
I had two speeches prepared. One about the maturing of our audience and them coming around to things. The other one about running a certain section of this audience right out of town. I think it will be the latter as opposed to the former. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are saying that you have to get through Twilight New Moon to get to the really silly, fun stuff at the end. Apparently the last two...
I feel if we are going to continue on that series, there will definitely be a pivot behind a paywall into Cinema Swirl. That is, of course, inevitable. But Dawn of the Dead reigns supreme, even though Sylvester Stallone, probably one of the strongest performers in votes in the history of this podcast, but second place.
Yes. Maybe even a third. I'm not sure.
I didn't actually aggregate the two together.
Yeah.
Yo, Adrian, he didn't do it. He only went and lost. And instead, we're talking about George A. Romero's follow-up to Night of the Living Dead. It's only Dawn of the Dead, which provides a unique opportunity for Sam Chaplin once again to potentially include the entirety of the royalty-free, free for everyone to use, Night of the Living Dead as a nice little little tailor there at the end of the episode. Button up that episode with a nice 90 minutes of audio of an old horror movie.
No, that it had its moment. This is Dawn of the Dead, which I believe is not public domain somehow. He managed to fill in the form correctly and get it as a, actual copyrighted piece of media. So.
Yeah, so I'm excited for you to finally see the movie where George A. Romero sold out to the man to big movies. And apparently he wanted some sort of ownership for having created the movie. Fair enough, I guess.
No, pathetic. It should be open source and Creative Commons or nothing, mate. There's no point. Open it up.
And you should... Every time you see the movie, you should put it on a floppy disk and send it to one of your mates so they can copy it as well and send it to their mates. Also, refresh my memory. Did you get on well with the zombie-filled escapades of old black and white Night of the Living Dead?
I think I got on okay with it. Yeah. I think I appreciated its place in history in terms of zombies. But there were some parts of it that were a bit,
Bit old shit. Was that it?
Bit old shit, a little bit ropey. It didn't feel like the zombie formula had reached its full potential, but it was the spark of something interesting.
You weren't particularly scared, if I recall.
No, not really. But I'm curious about this because, the naming convention is interesting here.
Yes.
This is not Night of the Living Dead 2.
No.
So the time of day has moved forward. We've had the night, and now it's the dawn. But the dead are now not living. They're just the dead. Or they might be living, but it's not worth because there have been living dead, it's now not worth mentioning that they're living. That's a given. The night of the given dead.
It's like the saying, the famous quote from Batman goes, "The night is before the dawn."
Yeah. And then presumably you've got afternoon of the dead.
Tea time of the dead.
Dinner time.
Dead. Dinner time of the dead. Once you go up north, it gets all out of sync. People want to watch the movies out of order because they don't know. Dinner of the dead. Get out of here. You could be at any time of day.
And as we know from 7, Late Supper of the Dead is the final installment. Yeah. So.
The final. What would you expect to happen in a sequel to a runaway cult classic success? Is this going to be bigger, badder, or are we going to go for a little bit of the lo-fi again?
Okay, so let me tackle this in 2 parts here. Please. All the characters are dead. Like, everyone we met in Night of the Living Dead is dead, as far as I remember. They're all gone. So it's not going to be a continuation with those guys.
You don't know. It could be about the guy who rounded up the posse at the end. Could be his story.
Most favourite character. The guy who killed our protagonist. Yeah. So I think it's more of a spiritual sequel, a continuation of a theme.
All right.
But, I think this came up when I was trying to figure out what Night of the Living Dead was. The one that comes to mind as the OG zombie film is this, Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, really? Okay.
That as a name, as a title of a film.
You've heard Dawn of the Dead.
I've heard that more than I've heard Night of the Living Dead.
Is that because it rhymes with Shaun of the Dead, which also came out in theaters at the same time as the Dawn of the Dead remake?
Yes.
Heavy lifting being done there, you know?
It probably helps that Edgar Wright put out a rhyming zombie pastiche.
And Nigel of the Living Dead didn't have the same, vibe to it. It didn't properly rhyme. It only implied a rhyme.
Yes. So I think this feels like it might be the one that pushes zombies up and over. Imagine that, zombies going up and over. No, thank you. Keep them down below and buried.
But what do you mean by that? Because I think in modern aesthetic, zombies is kind of it's quite a bloated pop culture phenomenon, let's just say.
Played out, man.
Played out. And I don't just mean the bloaters.
Yes.
But what is it that we didn't get to in Night of the Living Dead that you're expecting us to get to here now? Is it more action, would you say? Or more gore? Because it was kind of light on the sauce, Night of the Living Dead, for lack of a better term.
So first off, proper copyright situation. We get this done by the book.
That's what zombies are all about. By the book, by the number, paperwork filled in triplicate, on time, brains.
I don't want to say it's a box ticking exercise and we've got to get this paperwork done, but it feels like this time we need to get this right. We've got to take the learnings from the first time and we've got to apply them here and really deliver something strong.
Movie 1, learnings. Movie 2, earnings.
Yes.
Movie 3, yearnings. It's quite a ride you go on in a trilogy.
Yeah, we've watched Test and Learn of the Living Dead, and we have come away from that with some new ideas and some fresh thinking. I think this is going to be, what am I trying to say? A higher production value, I think. Okay. Maybe a bit of a stronger story, perhaps. And some more, gore, bits and bobs, guts and blood and guts and gore.
And bits and bobs, which is the very PG
bobs.
way of saying, entrails and viscera, etc.
Oh, my bits and bobs have come out. Oh no, that sounds worse.
Ah, no, that doesn't sound good. These days, if your bips and bobs fall out, they'll lock you up and throw you in jail, Sam. Here's what I want to know, though. In terms of like visuals and setting and stuff like that, are you aware of where this movie is going to be and potentially what it's going to look like compared to the first installment that we've already seen?
So the first one was quite rural. We were in a little house in the country, I think. I don't know if this is going to be like a kind of city situation, a more kind of modern urban zombie situation. We
want a modern urban zombie, upwardly mobile zombies.
We try this out in the kind of provincial regions, and then we bring it into the cities and really let it loose and see what happens.
So you want kind of a London zombie situation is what's happening here.
Yeah. In fact, Kevin, sometimes when I've been to London, it does feel a bit like a bloody London zombie situation with some of the people on that tube train, doesn't it? They don't even smile.
I would say they don't. And I would say, sure, there's probably a surcharge for being alive now in London, isn't there? You're alive. You have to give me money. They'd probably be doing that as well, wouldn't they?
Yeah, bloody Mayor Boris doing all of his stuff there. If it's not the bikes, it's the surcharge for being alive. What will he do next?
I will pay it. I will pay it.
Yeah,
I'm not one of them bloody. I'm a dead mate. Yeah,
no. I'll pay it. But
I'll pay it.
I'm not happy about it.
So, I feel you've learnt enough about the world of zombies now, where I can ask you the question that every teenage boy asked every other teenage boy during the early 2000s, or should I say mid 2000s?
Would you shag? Oh no, okay.
No. We've been through this. Where would your ideal zombie survival place even be? Where would you go?
Oh, the video game store, man. Imagine all the cool games you could play. Oh my God, dude.
You got your gamer fuel. You got your DVDs, Xbox 360, PS3. We don't rent Wii games in this branch, but you'd be pretty set up for life there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if zombies were killed by Funko Pops, I think I'd be safe as houses.
I think so.
This brings me back to my love of a basement and my jealousy of Americans with their basements. I just want to hunker down. I know we had this in Night of the Living Dead, but if I could just go into your house, go into that little bit underneath it and just stay there. That guy from that first film, he had the right idea. If they hadn't have come and rumbled him out of there, he'd still be alive. But
when I first moved here, I had like some electric work done in the house, and a lot of the houses around the way here have got like basements from back in the day.
Right.
They just do, but most of them are kind of, they become fallow or like fill in or whatever it is slowly over time. And the electrician had to go down underneath the floorboards into the special zone, and he came up after having done it with the biggest smile on his face in the world. He went, "It's incredible down there." Anyway, let's put everything back over here, seal it all up. And every time I'm downstairs, I kind of look, down at the floor. I'm like, oh, what was going on in there? It sounded like it was awesome. It said it was incredible. And it's like, why? Is there room for like a couch and like a retro console setup perhaps or something like that? I want to be in a basement, but I know that the basements that are around this part of the world in the UK, they're for coal and corpses. They're not for rumpus rooms and nooks.
There's something to be said of the supermarket, Big Asda. I mean, I've watched 28 Days Later, and there's a scene in there with the Granddaddy song in the background where they're scoring these goals. Don't score a goal. So there's something about that, and you're close to a food source. You're going to have bottled water, canned things for a while if you're in the supermarket.
Sorry, when the zombies take over, it doesn't mean I'm going to suddenly love microplastics, Sam. I'm going to start fucking getting my bottled water on, throwing it away. Just because they're all dead doesn't mean we shouldn't care, yeah?
No, but I reckon a big group trip to Asda, the big Asda, because everyone will have a space to sleep.
And I feel as well, because you, in a previous life, you were employed at an Asda.
So I know the back ways.
Yeah, you know all the kind of places around. Well, That's a very interesting place to pick, Sam. I
Yeah,
think that's a
thank you.
very, very good choice indeed. And, at the end of the day, it'll be you and what other chilled pickers who are also amateur survivalists will be able to come together. And not a bad idea. Tell you what is also not a bad idea. Open up that zombie bag. Ugh.
Thank you. Welcome to the zombie bag. It's all it's kind of cold and wet and dry.
Well, this is clammy.
Yes. So thank you as ever for your questions, queries, comments, other bits and bobs to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
Our correspondence today comes in from Andrew, who writes the following. Hello, lads. Hello, Andrew.
Well, hello.
I'm Andrew, an OTP listener of the podcast.
Hello. I like that's good format in there.
Intro.
Good stuff.
Yes. As a resident of the USA and unfortunately from Florida, I can confirm. Oh, right. So for some context, a couple of episodes back, I was talking about the naughty cinemas, the rude cinemas.
The rude and crude cinemas, aka the don't want to call them sexy cinemas because they're really unsexy themselves.
And whether you're supposed to be having a go
Popping
on yourself in there. Yeah. And so Andrew writes the following. I can confirm that there are numerous dirty porno cinemas.
That's what they're called.
That's the official name, yeah.
Sorry, DPC, of course.
That they are still in existence in Florida.
Are you at home watching dirty porno films? Me and Sam are watching dirty porno cinema.
Yes, we're watching art house porn in the actual art house.
Curated on our special Criterion Collection affiliated streaming service, Booby.
Very good.
That's got to be worth a discount code. Let's sell out for that. Come on.
Oh, I liked that a lot, and I can see how it's spelled. I can see the logo in my head. It's
good.
It's a good bit of business, that actually.
And the logo's already blue, it's a bit of blue already, isn't it?
And the letter B, if you kind of look at it on the side, looks like a booby, or it looks like a pair of
that's
booby.
True.
So,
or it could also double as a bottom or balls.
Yeah. So it's honestly, it's
the sexiest letter. The sexiest capital letter, I would probably say,
But not going for a lowercase. If you've got a sexiest letter, then please let us know.
But I mean, you got to maybe give some context, because if you just send us the sexiest letter on its own in an email, we might be a bit lost at sea here.
Just like S.
S, yeah. Oh, I hadn't considered S. Yeah. Hang on now. All right, okay, there's some thinking to go on here.
Andrew writes that there is at least 5 alone of these dirty porno cinemas still in existence within a 10-mile stretch of the highway in my town.
Are there any clean ones, I wonder? Are they all like, by design, you gotta make them dirty?
They're dirty. As for being able to do and this is Andrew's words, hibbity-bibbity in the theatre...
Like, they gotta have a sign up or something, right?
No hibbity-bibbity, or yes, hibbity-bibbity.
Or just saying that says, don't worry.
Yeah, worry a bit. I can confirm from sources that for a fee, you can engage in adult time if one was inclined.
A fee?
A fee.
God almighty, I didn't think that, the ever ubiquitous fees that we find all over the world would make their way to the dirty pornographic cinemas as well. Also, if you pay the fees, are like kind of getting an upgrade on your seat. You get to go to like a special zone. Or is it just or is it just you're at the same seat, but you now have this option available to you?
They have got those at Odeon now. If you look online, you have to pay like £5 extra, but there is a sort of little wanking zone that you can go
Sorry,
to.
What?
No, they don't really.
Okay, you had me going there for a second, Sam. Come on.
This raises more questions.
Are they like going in with the light and shining in like, they do in certain movies to see if, and then you get an ad at the start about like wank piracy, about how, if you don't pay the fee, theaters like this shut down across the world, and it happens over across the pond. It's not going to happen in Florida.
Is it like a hipster way of watching porn now? Is like,
oh, you go and you do it like,
yeah, like,
and I'll only do if it's film as well, like,
yeah, like it's the vinyl of wanking, right? Andrew also wrote "Keep up the good work" at the end of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just kind of feel like we're on the cusp of lost knowledge here, aren't we? Because in 5 years' time, they probably won't exist. and then someone will ask, I wonder what the pricing structure was there, or the rules, and they'll all be dead, and no one will know.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew also recommended the cinematic masterpiece that is Hard Target, starring the Muscles from Brussels, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, JCVD.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have a bit of JCVD not that long ago.
We did.
But in terms of what is allowable on Swirl, I think it's slim pickings now. It could be a time cop coming your way before too long. But I like to cycle through our action hunks.
Yes.
So I feel like we would definitely need a JCVD offering. Whether or not that has a gratuitous amount of swill content following on from that, you'll be the judge. It will happen. It will definitely happen.
So thank you, Andrew, and thank you, as always, for any messages, bits and bobs to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
Yes, but answers have become questions there in many respects.
In a way,
we could say. In a way, yes. And in another way, Sam, I think it's time for us to find out what happens when the sun rises and everyone's dead. I think we should go do a cinema swirl, if you don't rather mind.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's go do a cinema swirl. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it.
And we're back. I'm sorry, we're back. Sam, initial gut reaction to Dawn of the Dead.
Guys, you want to go crash the mall? Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Hey.
That was good.
I know that you've seen those conspiracy theories online as well, Sam, that Avril Lavigne is in fact a zombie.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't believe it. But like, look, the tattoo is different. I don't believe. Look, she's eating the flesh of her fan. I don't believe it. I don't. But you can enjoy it. It's like Sam thinking that hot metal's not real.
An affinity for shopping malls is all I'm going to say to
That's it.
lend some credence to that theory. So initial gut reaction was it was good. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a good time?
A bit of fun, A bit of fun,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't want to say like George A. Romero evolved as a filmmaker when he realised that making his movies a bit more fun was really kind of like a fun page-turning moment for him, I thought.
Yeah.
Because this is I didn't want to give away how fucking much I love this movie, and I'd not seen it in a good few years. Because this is one of these movies that gave me nightmares when I first saw it way back when.
Okay.
So I think as an adult, kind of have that slight hesitation to put on something that I know has given me sleeplessness in the past. But this was I had a good time watching this. It was all right, wasn't it?
It was silly stuff, this was good. Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a lot to delve into here. And another thing I had to bite my tongue about beforehand was the music on this, because I didn't want to say, hey, you know when you talk about that exact genre of music that kind of B-ish movies tend to have, very often over in Cinema Swill, baby goblins are here to bring you through to happy conclusion. My word indeed, Sam.
Fabulous stuff, music. There's some points here I'm going to want to talk about later on in terms of the musical cues, but the first note I made when watching this was the music is cool.
My first note was, fuck me, the music. So yeah, it's very good. We open at the most apocalyptic setting one could imagine in 2024. It's back in the late 70s and we're opening on an episode of Question Time being recorded.
Yes.
Look, great question from the audience there. Firstly, I think we can all get around the table and appreciate that the dead returning to life, and I wouldn't quite describe them as zombies. I wouldn't use that classification, but the dead returning to life, completely unacceptable. As you know, I've been in Hertfordshire as the MP my entire life. Both my parents died and neither came back from the dead. And I think that is what people will be thinking about when it comes to the second vote on the Brexit referendum.
And then you got some other lad who's like, they're fucking zombies, mate. And it just, riling everyone up. It put me in mind of the old COVID briefings. I feel like we've got a Van Tam and a Whitty really going at it here.
Sam, making out that Van Tam and Whitty were at each other's throats when the secret coalition was there all along. They knew. They were in each other's back pockets, so they were.
They were.
It's going to throw the funeral plans of everyone kind of off kilter a bit here. They're kind of having to embrace the lack of compassion for the dead. These dead bodies are getting up. They are eating other people. And those people are dying and then getting up. And
then those people are also getting up and then they are eating people and then those people.
And then those as well.
Beyond that, we don't have the data. But
I love this as a setting because you think in the pre-swirl you'd kind of circled around this idea of like, is it a sequel or not? Or how much time has passed? And you could take it as like, this is after the events of that last movie. And, it's similar crisis happening, but it's obviously many years have passed. It's a different time. It's just dropping you right in. You hit the ground running with this setup, I think.
Actually, now I think, I felt like it was maybe just, we start again and it's just a separate thing. But there is a slight feeling in all of this kicking off that it's like, oh, fuck's sake, another one of these. I thought we'd contain... like, it's a second zombie pandemic, We thought we'd contained it. And we haven't.
I don't care what they're saying. I'm not washing my hands or disposing of my dead bodies. They are my dead bodies. I have been amassing them over the last few years since the last pandemic, and I should do with them as I please.
Yeah, they're mine. I've got every right to them. I'm enjoying that we're in a TV studio and there's some technical TV terms. There's some supers on the screen. Do you know what a super is?
Is what cool people call superheroes, I'm pretty sure. The kids call them. And they did say phrases as well, like on air.
On air. Supers are like little superimposed bits of text, so having the locations and the numbers of where to go are supers. Get those supers off the screen now. No, get them on the screen. It's pandemonium. Everyone's decided, fuck this, we're just going to clear off. We're getting out of the TV studio. It's madness.
It's sad to think in the modern era now here with the mainstream, or should I say lamestream media, Sam, being mostly paperless, that if they were to be confronted with such a pandemic, zombie, viral outbreak situation, there'd be no pieces of paper for them to tear up and throw in the faces of experts. And where would they be then? You can't just, airdrop something at someone you don't like. PDFs out here. What? They're all uncompressed. What's going on? What's this? My wireless device doesn't recognize this software. We don't want to hear. I've heard quite enough from the experts already, thank you very much, because the experts told me that if someone died, they wouldn't come back and eat me.
We cut away from the experts and go to seemingly the racists. There's a lad here, I think is in some kind of is this like a National Guard thing? Or are they like...
Yeah. They seem to either be National Guard... There are National Guard people there. There seems to be kind of SWAT, police force guys there also as well. But they had casually mentioned, and you get an info dump during that first scene there, because you find out there's martial law and you're not allowed, it's illegal now to stay in a private residence. You have to go to these safe spaces.
Yeah.
So what we have here is a tenement block where people have decided, rather selfishly I might add, to hoard their dead.
Yes. And there's one lad who is being full-on racist and being like, I can't wait to shoot blah, 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 blah. And you can know that he's going to die spectacularly. So it's that classic movie thing of we want to brutally kill someone here. So we got to make him bad. Either he's going to say something racist or hit a woman or something like that. And he does that.
Oozes bad out of every pore. And I think if you're even tangentially aware of George A. Romero, as soon as you see the racist show up, you'll be like, oh, this lad's going to fucking explode or something like that. This is going to be great. I'm going to get my wetware on now just in case there's any splashback from the screen.
The cool thing about this film is that because of the effects, the practical effects, it looks more expensive than the last one.
And it definitely is. And in terms of number of people on screen,
yes,
the setting, every fucker who's got a gun in this has got 9 guns.
Yeah.
But everyone's tooled up.
It looks more expensive, and yet there is, and I mean this in a good way, a cheapness to it. A sort of homemade...
grittiness.
A gritty realness, and I appreciate that.
I think I have the strongest overly defensive mechanism for this movie, because I remember like when I properly got into zombie movies in like 2003 or whatever it would have been, and I was obsessed with this. I was like, it was the first thing I saw that I was scared of, gave me nightmares, but I was obsessed with and like very avid about, as opposed to be like, oh, I'm not going to talk about that ever again. And I remember showing it to my cousin and being like, oh my god, because he had loved the Night of the Living Dead remake, he had loved Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, he loved Shaun of the Dead. I'm like, wait till you see, this is like the original sequel to the remake of the movie you've seen. And as soon as the zombies showed up, he's like, they're all grey and silly and blue. And I'm like, no, they're not. The effects are good. And he's like, but the effects are cartoonish. And they're both.
Yes.
They are both extremely impressive, practically what they pull off. But I don't want to say they've went on the cheap, because they are very distinct, and I do kind of appreciate the green ghouls.
Yeah.
These are misshapen monsters is what I'm trying to say, Sam.
They are. And I could feel that slight defensiveness come out in you a little bit when I use the word cheap. I could feel a little bit, you know.
George A. Romero is cold in the ground, and we don't have the luxury of our dead returning to life, so I have to speak on his behalf.
That's fair enough. Now, in terms of the effects, someone's head, like, they're bursting into this tenement block and just shooting everyone, shooting zombies, but also shooting regular people. A lad's head straight up explodes. And it doesn't even really try and make it look like he's been shot. It just makes it look like we've got this effect. Get a load of this. And fair play, it's a good effect. It looked good.
It comes fast and furious.
Yeah.
And what I love most about the litany of practical effects in this movie is that it's not like Tom Savini decides, oh, you know what? This bit here for biting into flesh, this is great. This is what we're going to do for all the bites. Every time someone bites into someone in this movie as a zombie, Jesus Christ, it could be anything they're biting into. There's times they bite into them, it's like they're biting into old mattresses. There's times they bite into them, and Joe was in the other room, she's like, is that man made of mushroom? And then there's times you bite into someone and they're literally a red balloon filled with red paint. And I love that, because it's like he has all these great ways and also not so great ways of showing these things, and you just get it all. They used up every single trick in their bag, I think, when they made this.
Yes, if you were to tell me this is not in fact a film, but this is a special effects show reel for Tom Savini, I would believe you. That's like, here's everything I can do. Please hire me for your next project. We get to see like the first proper zombie of the flick. Shoot it, man. Shoot it in the head. But everyone's still a little bit slow to do anything.
I don't like killing dead people.
This is kind of before the idea culturally in films and in games and in television that if there's a zombie, you fucking shoot the zombie, man. This is before that. This is like, you know, it's still a bit like, oh, it's a human person that has come back. I feel awkward about shooting this person. But now it's like, that's a zombie.
It's rude, isn't it? Like, to kind of shoot someone. You're taught that back in the 70s. Not so much anymore, I guess.
It's the very least uncouth to,
I'll say it as well. It's unbecoming, Sam. It's unbecoming. It makes me think that the last great idea for a zombie movie that's not been overdone to death, and no doubt me saying this means that it has already been made 10 times over, I'm sure, and exists in many various medias. But wouldn't it be funny if they did a zombie movie where there is a zombie outbreak, very similar to what we have here, except it's the entire generation of people who've been brought up on zombie movies and zombie video games, and you have, instead of the rednecks and the racists getting excited, it's all the nerds, all the gamers, all the people that the Ministry of Defense are always trying to poach with their Call of Duty ads in the cinema. They're going to be, and that could play out many different ways. And I think that would be fascinating, because you're right. I think we are trained as a society to not care about zombies. Or not to care in the immediate sense of what, like, don't think about it too much is basically the take-home with zombies these days.
Yeah, you see, you shoot, but that's not the case here.
Yeah, because there is a big shootout, despite the fact that one of the police did say, when you go in there, don't pop off. And they did absolutely pop off in there.
They popped off, yeah.
They popped off big time.
There's something funny about how many shootouts there are in this film when none of the zombies can handle guns or use guns.
Yeah, but they have a really unfair advantage in that they're all really spooky. So when anyone sees them, they are going to be like,
oh god, that you might pop off in that instance.
In that instance, you might, you know.
Some of the face acting from everyone.
You mean the girding, Sam?
It's a little, it's a bit.
Go on, say it.
It's a bit big.
It's a bit cheap. Is that what you're saying? 'Cause it's not cheap. I swear, I'm not. You speak freely, Sam. I'm
Some
not
of it
defensive of this movie.
Is, for better and for worse, and some of it's very funny, a bit straightforward in terms of the acting choices here. A bit Route One.
Have you got any examples of this so-called Route One acting?
Just the kind of... I mean, there's a lad who's asking about a helicopter later on. He's like, where are you guys? People are just gurning and pulling funny faces. Even the non-zombies, especially, weirdly. The zombies are pretty, placid. But some of the regular folks, like, yeah, ooh, really kind of... For listeners at home, that was a great demonstration from
That
me,
was
though.
great. If ever we had GIFs, that would be one of them right there. I mean, Sam, it was a more expressive generation, wasn't it?
Sure, yeah.
They had disco, they had the Warriors, and they had their facial expressions.
Yes.
And I'd trade it all in an instant for my QR code scanning capabilities.
So we've got our two main guys here who are part of this National Guard thing, I think, initially, maybe?
Initially, they're part of the team, so to speak.
The team, Roger and Peter.
Nice lads.
Our main guys, they're in a little basement bit and there's a priest in there for some reason, but that all seemed irrelevant ultimately. They get to a whole room full of zombies.
Yeah, they've got a whole cache of them.
We've got the zombie zone and we put all the zombies here and the zombies are all eating other zombies, which to me, that's not going to... Is that going to make more zombies? You're just going to keep... You're going to actually end up... Ultimately, I think if you put zombies with zombies and let them eat each other, you would then have less zombies.
Or at least the zombies you'll have would be kind of like... As a society, I think we'd handle a skeleton epidemic very easily.
Yeah.
Very easily. That's no problem. Never mind Jason and his Argonauts there now. We'll take care of them nasty skeletons and our museums will be laden with their bones for years to come.
Yes.
Did you recognise who was playing my main man Peter here?
Should I have done?
Did you ever watch Keenan and Kel?
No.
Never mind then.
Oh, it was Orange Soda who was playing Peter.
No!
That's all I know of Keenan and Kel.
Oh, okay, Sam, right. I'm not defensive about Dawn of the Dead anymore, but my defensiveness of Keenan and Kel has only increased exponentially over the years, so don't come at me.
I've not watched it. All I know is that one of them likes Orange Soda, so therefore it must be Orange Soda who is the actor playing Peter here.
Must be.
It simply must be. Yeah, he's just shooting all of these zombies in this little zombie hole, which, he seems very sad about.
There is kind of a matter-of-factness of the grisly nature of it all, and I think it is still first and foremost trying to be a horror movie and tugging at your, not just your sensibilities like, that's scary, of just thinking like, oh, this is dirty, or this is wrong, or I feel weird about it. It is not, at this point, a remotely triumphant thing to kill a zombie.
No. It's seen as very grotty and sad. So these two meet up with our news twos. Stephen and Fran.
Fly boy and fly girl, I like to call them.
Yes, who have commandeered the news copter to just get the fuck out of there.
Not a bad idea.
No, not a bad idea, especially if you've got someone who can pilot a fucking helicopter. Get out of there.
And I'd imagine, Sam, the roads are jammers.
Yes.
Could you imagine? Zombies don't give right of way. That's the problem. You try and merge lanes with a zombie, you're fucked. You're not getting off. You're not getting off that dual carriageway anytime soon.
And you didn't have Google Maps back then to redirect you down a country lane. You just had to hope for the best on the motorways. You'd have been buggered. So there's nice helicopter shots of all these zombies in the countryside. That seemed like a nice day out.
I love the little dots all strewn around. There's a great sense of scale, I guess, this time compared to, and that's, you do go back into claustrophobic conditions in a sense later on, but I do like that this is the first time I think you've ever seen a proper zombie apocalypse play out on a wider scale, and I very, very much like that, because it's Redneck Christmas.
Hooray!
It's like they took that little posse bit from the end of Night of the Living Dead, they're like, they're obviously having a nice time. They're having cookouts, they're drinking beers.
There's rock and roll music in the background, and
come on, man,
shooting the shit out of zombies. They've got it figured out. They're just like, this is a laugh. Let's just shoot them and have a drink and have a laugh.
I mean, I'd probably make my way over to one of them camps because you get a bite to eat at least. No one's policing that plate of ribs.
Oh, I mean, there's going to be some pulled pork sandwiches there, and they're going to taste amazing. Is all I'm saying.
There.
Like, yeah.
In 1970s Middle America, I'm not so sure. I don't know the flow of cuisine.
Yeah, there was definitely a time when pulled pork came out, wasn't it? Like it just, like salted caramel. There was one point that came out.
It's when Dexter came out, and then he said everyone they could have pulled pork sandwiches as a breakfast. Excuse me, as a breakfast? And there's an alternate cut of Dexter where at the start it's just him eating a salted caramel. But they thought that's very on the nose for the time. So there's, in the Tom Savini show reel here, we've got an opportunity for a zombie to have its head, the top of its dome, cut off by helicopter blades. Sir, you forgot your hat. Oh, baby, I love that. You'll never see me anywhere near a helicopter. Or you as well, Sam. I don't want you going anywhere near a helicopter because you and I are both tall. Ergo, prime targets for having our hats removed. Yes. I don't want that for either of us. And weird tangent, I used to watch ER with my mum. And can I just say this for all the non-UK listeners out there? What show's he talking about? What show's he talking about? Huh? ER. What? What's that? ER? I wasn't watching Winnie the Pooh, mate. All right. You know what? Yeah, that's what I was saying. When you think you've got an idea here where you can break through here, what's Winnie the Pooh's sad donkey friend called? Eeyore. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, ER, when they're in the emergency, is that it? Yes. And one of the characters in that gets, I think, his arm chopped off by a helicopter and then gets crushed by a helicopter. Yeah, there's a lot of helicopter kind of madness going on in that particular emergency room, you know? Yeah, so I'm also resistant, and we are tall blokes, and my hair's goes quite up at the moment, so even... It's no good. I don't want an unnecessary trim. I mean, that's it. If I got a really bad haircut from it, I'd be like, here, look, just keep going, kill me. Now, I don't want to have to deal with this and wait to grow in. Go on, keep going, chopping it all off, all of it. Now, we're early in the days of zombie films here, still, I think. Yes. And George A. has gone, George A, baby. There's a decision in the room of like, do we put zombie kids in? Yes. And he's gone, yes, let's do it. In the same way that, Grand Theft Auto could have decided to put children in and thought, no, that would be bad. I think they should have went the Skyrim route, Sam, which is include the children, but when Peter tries to kill him, they're like immune to his charms. Like, he's like, can't do nothing to him, I mean, the kids on the day seem to be having a good time. They just get chucked around a bit by Peter, but then the gunshots happen, unfortunately. And then George A is like, look, you signed a release here, Mum and Dad, and you clearly stated that you waived all liability when your children became zomblings, and that's what they are. I'd like you to use the correct terms, please. Handle it respectfully. There's a real contrast in some of the zombies sometimes. Some of them look great. Some of them do look a little bit student filmy. In terms of... Well, that's it. You can tell the ones that Tom Savini are... I'm going to keep saying, this is the problem with Tom Savini. He's made himself such a fucking name. I know it's not just him, because he didn't do all the makeup, and he didn't do all... He's the kind of... The Imagineer of the visuals, I guess, in some respects. But yeah, it does feel like you've got a few people who've been poured over, who've had like hours and hours in their makeup, and then someone has been given a once-over with the green-grey hue, and there you go, off you pop, like. And they're shot with a long lens from afar. And right until the 11th hour, George A was like, baby, it's going to be black and white, and no one's going to know the difference. And then shit! I've been shooting in fucking colour the whole time. Yes. Oh, so we should probably talk about the availability of this film, because... Oh, yes, because there's many versions. There's many versions. I heard something about it not being commercially available. It's on DVDs and Blu-rays and things, but I think it kind of comes and goes in terms of where you can get it. But it is on YouTube in 4K HDR. Yeah, there's been loads of versions. I think you and I watched what was called the US cut. It's the 2 hours... The US theatrical cut. Yeah, the 2 hours, 8 minutes one. I have seen and would recommend as well. There is an extended cut that's 2 hours, 30-ish minutes. It's got an extra bit in there. It is, some of it maybe is slightly surplus to requirements. But yeah, there is... It's not the case that it's not got any barriers to you releasing or anything like that. I think it's the case that it has went through. It's got a lengthy distribution section on Wikipedia is what I'm saying, folks. Right, sure. Something's gone weird there, but not as weird as the first one, where I can't stress this enough. You could watch that first one on Wikipedia, on the Wikipedia page of the film for Night of the Living Dead. That's still mad to me. That's still crazy. And no matter what the weird situation with Dawn of the Dead is, there isn't
can't
any
do that.
explanation why there are multiple versions of it for free on YouTube. And I go back and forth sometimes to talk whether or not we should talk about the availability of where we find our movies and whatnot on this show. It feels like, do people care? I don't really know. But I will say, I do get a very peculiar, very specific vibe of nostalgia when I can type in the movie I want, full movie, into YouTube, and lo and behold,
it fucking
there
works.
it is,
Yeah.
in lowercase, and it's been there for years.
Yeah.
And there's multiple versions. The remake's up there as well.
Is it?
It is,
Wow.
yeah. And
Okay.
I feel like Zack Snyder wouldn't want that. That's not part of his
No.
vision, is free movies for everyone. Or maybe it should be, Zach. Maybe it should be.
I'm glad it was up there in that format on
Grand.
YouTube for free. Whether that's legal or bad or not, who knows? But
I've a sneaking suspicion it's not.
I'm not
But-
the one who's done the crime, I don't think. So it's fine. You know, I haven't uploaded it.
No, we should have specifically said as well, when we watched this on YouTube, they were showing it on the screen in the perfectly legal DVD shop. So it wasn't us. It was him.
Yes.
And yes, it was a man as well. Yes. At the little countryside bit here, did you enjoy the very wibbly wobbly synthy?
Yeah.
Now, some of this is included on like Gorillaz albums or something like that, I swear, right? And because you're a big fan.
So there's a bit coming up later on. There's a whole bit of music that is essentially included as track 1 on Demon
Yes.
Days. Do 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 do. That one is just sampled pretty much wholesale at the start of that album.
And if we do the sequel, Day of the Dead, there's a whole bit from that as well. So
okay.
I think for your Damon Albarn worship alone, that I think that it's worth us continuing these zombie movies.
Oh yeah, please. But it's one of those things where I'm so familiar with the music, but not where it came from, that to hear it in its original context
yeah.
was like, oh god, yeah, it's kind of mind blowing.
It is. It's a strange context to find it
Yeah.
in originally, but like, if you are going to pilfer loads of music and samples from a movie series, you could do a lot worse than this.
Yes, and judging by its availability, no one's going to be that fussed about if you clear the samples properly.
You know what I get really upset by, Sam, unreasonably so, is people wasting ammo in zombie movies.
Yeah.
Old
Yeah.
Flyboy here, old Supple Steven, I like to call him. This guy, he couldn't hit a rhino's ass with a banjo, let alone a 45 caliber handgun.
No, he's seen as a bit useless by the proper gun lads.
But I do appreciate they're not angry with him. They give him the little smile when they pull his gun down. You
Yeah.
know? Cock your gun, son. You've been gun cooked. Just lower it.
Yeah, just lower it, take your time, and leave it to the experts.
Leave the experts.
We leave the country bit. We've done that level. That was a nice introduction to the controls. And now we're going to our main set piece. We're crashing the mall. Here we go, baby. It looks like Meadowhall. It looks like, it looks like a proper out of town.
Well, I was going to say the Trafford Centre, but
Yeah, well, you.
Well, can we meet in the middle? What's the great one in Sheffield? It's featured in the
That's
new...
Meadowhall.
Oh wait, that's
That's what I'm
Meadowhall.
talking about. Yeah, Meadowhall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just that, I had such faded memories of the Full Monty TV series, of which Meadowhall is prominently featured in a few episodes.
Right.
The cast and crew got free Eddie Rockets because they filmed there.
Is that true?
No, it's not true.
It very much could have been, though.
But it's not interesting. That could have been the most interesting thing about the Full Monty TV series, and it's not even true.
Right, so we're at the mall. Yay, we're at the mall.
Hey!
Life's like this.
It is.
There's some nice shots in this when they're setting up the mall location. There's some really nice... I think some of this seems like it's just pretty straightforward directing and we make the most of these special effects and these zombies. But there are a few nice little artistic... When they're on the roof of the mall and they're kind of looking down into it and there's those triangular skylights. It's nicely framed. It looks great. Thank you.
Yeah, the mall is, I don't know, it's such a perfect fucking setting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, it has renewed meaning as malls become less relevant in some ways. It was meant to be a commentary on specifically what malls meant at that time, but now I feel like it is both that And also a commentary on kind of in modern times, you'd be like, oh yeah, malls. Where, like, have you ever found yourself going to a mall, walking around being like, here I am in the mall, there's nothing to buy anymore. It'll happen to ye if it hasn't already, but I have on several occasions walked into like beautiful malls, including Meadow Halls and the Trafford Centre as mentioned, walked around, had a spring in my step being like, I'm in a mall, and then be like, no, oh, okay. I'll go into HMV to pretend what it was like when I used to buy things there and look at the Star Wars cereals and various Funko Pops there, or I'll go into Game and look at their Star Wars cereals and Funko Pops and compare them.
This is reminding me of a very nice touch from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake. So this very much feels like a video game level, particularly Tony Hawk's.
Yes.
But the first Tony Hawk's game had a mall level.
Yes.
It was just a nice mall. The remake has the same level laid out the same way, but it's all abandoned and shit and like smashed to bits. And I'm like, that's kind of a nice touch, like 20-something years later or whatever it is, to just have the same building but all knackered and shit.
They're so fucking creepy. There's a whole genre on YouTube of people who explore abandoned malls.
Yeah.
And there's lots of them, is all I can say.
There are.
Including a few times when people think malls are abandoned, like, no. It is abandoned, yes, but there is still a Wendy's inside.
Why did the zombies come here, Kevin?
Instinct, memory, 25% off, fucking trousers and bell-bottom jeans specifically. It's a weird idea that the zombies have some kind of fragment of memory of sorts, which probably means that, you know, if Sam and I died in the midst of a zombie outbreak, you can expect one hell of a podcast.
I mean, if you listen back to episode 1.
Yeah, the early ones, yeah. And of course, with the new zombie podcast, the first few episodes, it's like, and then like 10 episodes later, it's like,
So, Fran, she gets left in the kind of like they're in the kind of offices, you know, the back. I was going to say backstage of the mall. Do you know what I mean? Like the kind of
they're in the kind of the mall manager's zone.
Yeah,
Sam, I've been in the mall manager's zone before.
Oh, when you were arrested for shoplifting? Am I right?
No,
Good
Sam.
Night. No. Why were you there?
Twice. Once recently because I was a featured model for the 25th anniversary of the Trafford Centre and I had to go in there to pick up my trousers. It's the best gig I've ever done in my entire life. And if you did see me, there was a split second of footage of me walking down the street in Manchester there. Great. So I got to go in there. And another time I got sick as a child and I couldn't find my mum, so I was taken there for her to pick me up. They didn't wipe me off.
Okay.
Which is good, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. So Fran's left here with a gun and with useless old Stephen, who's like asleep or in.
He's like some kind of flyboy or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I tell you what, these two cops are really bad for egging each other on. You know, like if these lads say to each other they're not going to go out for a pint on a Wednesday, give them 5 minutes on a Wednesday and. Motivation Thursday! Where they love to drink.
They're smashing it. They've got a plan. They're heading in.
They're going to turn on the mall.
Oh, I fucking love shit like that. Them turning on the music and the fountains.
It's all centralised.
The bits and bobs to drown out any noise that they make going about the mall. It's great. The aesthetic of this mall setting is fantastic.
Yes.
And it seems counterintuitive to have a zombie film where everything's brightly lit, but it works really well. Like, I guess maybe it's not as out and out scary as I thought it might be.
It's different, it scares. What this movie does is, unlike a lot of other zombie movies, it peppers in constantly these little moments of hope and kind of adrenaline shots. Because it's like, okay, we have to go down to this place that's filled with ghoulish, misshapen monsters, but there's cool synth playing and we've got big guns and it's kind of fun to run around the mall and it's like, yay! And then usually what comes after that are these moments where you get kind of reminded of the greater dread, which, again, this movie is just so fucking easily, it's so absurdly legible. That's the feeling you get when you go to a mall. That's the feeling I was just describing. You go in and you're like, yeah, I'm in the mall. And you stop for a second and you're like, oh no. I'm anxious because I don't have that machine for these coffee pods.
We get little moments like a zombie sat in the lucky fountain picking up the coins off the floor, and I'm like, that's such a nice little detail to have. Like, I think they've got this mall setting. They've, I guess, paid to close down a mall for a day, a couple of days, a week maybe, and they're taking full advantage. They're like, would it be funny to put a zombie in this fountain and have it like picking up the coins? Yes, put it in.
Yes. Would it be funny to turn on the escalator and have a zombie fall? Yes.
Yes.
Would it be funny if one of the zombies was just having a little sleep on that escalator at the same time? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And I'll tell you right now, Sam, what kind of zombie would you be? Because I'd be that type of zombie that's basically curled up having a nice little nap until someone walks by and you go, ah.
Yeah, I'd be the kind of, I'd join you in that. We'd have a little sleep.
It is the zombie equivalent of being brought breakfast in bed, basically. Very nice.
The meal comes to you.
Oh, the smell of human flesh.
I would say, and again, not to harp on this cheap thing, but the zombie fighting feels quite slow and gentle.
It's a little like Batman without the screen effects. They will go about, and like it seems really silly because it's like you're making all these lengths to try and keep the zombies away from you, and then like even if you've got a gun, even if you got a blowtorch, even if you got a pistol, I'll give them the old 1-2. Come on, put up your dukes.
Now the audio is great in terms of music. In terms of the Foley, to me it seems a little bit undercooked, maybe.
I want more splatter. I want more crunch.
There's some real crunchy, splattery moments that don't get their just desserts in terms of sound here, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, there are a lot of desserts that you could just drop and that would make the noise that you want. You want the clatter and you want the splash.
You do. And there's just this lovely sense of fun and playfulness of running running around in an abandoned shop.
Run around in a mucky old mall, like we used to when we were kids, just running around barefoot in a mall. And, further to the point of you having these exhilarating moments, then kind of bookended with more traditional zombie fare, I always get scared when Steve decides, I kind of want to be useful.
Yes.
So I'm going to just wander off here now with a gun, like a man, and I'm going to walk through the creepiest bit of the mall on my own. Stupid Steve, I like to call him, Sam.
Stupid Steve in the, I think, boiler room or something.
Generator zone.
Again, he's managed to get himself into a shootout when the zombies can't shoot. It's impressive that he's, running around, sneaking around, trying to shoot zombies. Doesn't know where the zombies are.
Doesn't know where they are. Just shoot anyway, why not? Like, sloppy Steve, I like to call him, wasting bullets as usual.
Yes. He nearly completely fucks it, but manages to survive. Peter chucking a zombie over the mall balcony. Fucking fun, man. I don't know if when you were younger you had access to a video camera and made silly movies with your friends.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And did you get to the stuffing trousers full of bits and bobs to try and make a kind of dummy human for practical effects and stuff?
No, we mostly cut wrestling promos and filmed other people having fights.
Okay, yeah, sure. But there's something so joyous about experimenting literally with ragdoll physics by throwing a sort of mock human off things or down
Great
things.
Stuff.
Oh, beautiful stuff. And it's done really well as well. It looks,
He hoofs him, Sam.
He really hoofs him. Now, when we're talking about squelching and sloshing and noises, there's a bit here where Roger and a zombie are on the floor, rolling around. It's all very tense. And then he basically silently gets out a screwdriver from this lad's tool belt, pops it in the... But we don't get the...
Yeah.
I mean, the would make it worse.
There's so many bits you could have used. You could have went... There's so many fun sounds.
Maybe it's like a stylistic choice because it's in the ear, so you don't actually hear it because the hearing has been damaged. It's a clever bit of filmmaking.
I feel a fan project there is and I'm sure someone has tried it, but let's try and sync up proper splatter effects with all the lacking Foley.
Foley the fuck out of this.
Come on.
Yeah, get it going. They're realising, hey guys, the mall is actually quite fun.
It is. And we've got all the swag as well.
It's got loads of stuff. And so they're like, maybe we should actually, rather than just refueling here, gathering some supplies and heading off, maybe we should just make this our little base, you know, kind of...
It's not bad.
Not a bad idea.
Bad.
Not a bad idea.
Would you hole up in a mall? Because the bit that Joe saw this movie, she was adamant. She was like, she said she didn't even want there to be a zombie apocalypse. She would go live in a mall right now if she had the opportunity to.
So I think in the pre-swirl, my suggestion of Big Asda was not a million miles away.
I can't believe you came so close to guessing it. But Asda couldn't hope to have this selection of shops.
No, but it's got most of the bits you could need for a while.
It's not got a steakhouse.
No, but it'll have steak.
Can you get caviar in Asda? I don't know.
No, probably not. The handy thing about America, and this happening in America, is they do have gun shops.
Yeah, very useful. Yeah. Very useful indeed.
Yeah, and again, for American listeners, I was suggesting hanging out in a big Walmart.
There you go.
Which I think also has guns in it sometimes.
It does. And you know what, Sam? I felt that there was a trick missed here. And also given the instinct element of a zombie, I guess you could go there as a zombie or as a human. Yeah. But I feel Centre Parks would happily have you during a zombie outbreak.
Fuck. Yes.
They're not penetrating those domes.
Zombies in the subtropical swimming paradise at Centre Parks. They'd never sign it off, though. But what a location it would be. But they'd never sign it off.
The only thing is like you are kind of rolling the dice here because you could make it their place and they might enjoy it too much. You know, I've seen enough footage of dads letting it all loose at Centre Parks in advertising materials to think a zombie going down that flume, he's never going to want to leave.
But then I'd say seal off the dome and just get him in there via the swimming shop and get him in the dome, close the dome. All the zombies can just have fun in the dome. They'll never get bored. They'll have a great time.
Oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden, 2 months into our situation, Sam wants some Seabrook crisps, and all of a sudden we have to unseal the dome. I'm telling you, the dome is the safest place.
Oh, can I also just say that anyone faffing around in lift shafts at any point makes me fucking sick.
Why?
Sorry, that sounded like it was a judgment call.
Yeah. Look, however you want to choose to live your own life, if that's how you want to stay up there, I'm open to it.
No, the idea of crawling around in the mechanics of a lift and the lift dropping or going up or you getting stuck in bits and bobs. So there's a bit where I think Stephen or someone is like dicking around in a lift. I'm like, don't ever do that. I'd rather get bit to death by a zombie than chopped to bits by a lift.
It's something about the machinery I don't understand. I feel like if I go up there, a cog is going to turn and then a loaded gun is just going to come down and shoot me in the face. I don't like the vibe in there whatsoever.
No.
That Hare Krishna zombie's getting a lot of screen time.
Yes. So Stephen, old stupid Stephen, took the gun away from Fran and was like, don't worry, I'll be back. You stay here on your own without weapons. But there's a Hare Krishna zombie coming up the stairs. She doesn't have that gun anymore.
He kind of lets everyone know he's coming because he's got that tambourine, hasn't he?
Yes. And the thing you said about the zombies being kind of grey or blue? This guy looks particularly blue. He's got a real Tobias Funke kind of I blued myself situation here. He's got a
blue
bit
man. Of a baba-dee-da-do-ba, baba-dee-ba vibe going to him as well,
He does. But Fran manages to attack him with flair, and I don't mean she's doing it with style. She's literally using a flare to...
Don't waste the flares. Everyone's wasting our precious resources. I love the creepy tannoy.
You play too much Resident Evil, I think that's the thing.
I need my resources.
And if you look in their little cases, there's these little square slots that they have to fit everything into, and it goes in a particular order.
I love that creepy tannoy that they've activated, where they're like, shoppers, if you have a sweet tooth, have I got the deal for you. 20% off all insulin right now at Walgreens Pharmacy.
Kevin.
Sam.
We've had 2 films in a row now that have had a bit in the middle where there's a kind of, how am I going to put this? Just an abortion chat.
quick little one there.
Yeah.
Just peppered it in there. By the way, she's pregnant. By the way, do you want the abortion? By the way, I can provide it somehow. There's a lot of ways an abortion chat can go in media, and that's... Boy, I wasn't expecting that outcome.
Yeah, a real kind of like, do you want one? Because I'll do you one. But we don't go into detail on that, and it's just kind of skipped over a little bit.
And it is something that the movie kind of teases you with, and never really goes far with it, which is the idea of being pregnant in this kind of apocalyptic scenario, and that is something that Zack Snyder did not shy away from in his 2004 remake of this movie is Fast Zombies. I will say they're doing well. Going from a can of Spam to a jar of caviar in less than 24 hours. Yeah. That's some leveling up right there.
Yeah. But it's the place to be, the mall,
It's happening.
It's all happening. There's some really nice shots of just the zombies fucking about in the mall, which I appreciate a lot. Like, there's just quick cut stuff. I don't know if, George A. Romero just shot a load of stuff.
I reckon so,
and then put it together afterwards. But it some of it feels like a montage of what a laugh we had that day at the mall when we're all dressed as zombies, guys.
I feel like this movie was either the most fun thing to have been involved with or an absolute fucking nightmare, stressful shit
no
show.
In between.
But I assume it's the former. There seems to be a degree of, I don't know, maybe because later they throw pies. I'm like, there's no way you threw pies and you weren't having a laugh.
No.
Come on. I grew up at Noel's house party. This necessitates having a laugh.
Yeah.
And maybe, listeners, someday, if you're very, very good and enough time has passed, I can tell you my special Ant and Dec pie anecdote.
Oh, a little teaser.
A little teaser
that
there
might
for
be
you.
Coming later down the line. Also, my new Reddit theory is that Mr. Blobby is canonically a zombie. So there you go. Think about it.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Oh, also, post all of that sad chat, Fran's like, I want to learn how to fly this helicopter, mate, because you are a clumsy fool. And, well, she doesn't say that, but it's implied that it's like, Stephen, you're going to die. Teach me how to fly boy.
There needs to be more than one person who knows how to whirl this whirly bird, and it ain't just going to be Stinky Steve. By the way, the eye-patch scientist who pops on to give us an update found him oddly calming on all of this. He was very to the point, very, very to the point, very calming initially. All right, initially.
Yes.
Initially.
They've got a radio and a telly in their little base, in their little save point. That's where you load up the game, and you've got.
They're already doing it up. There's a little bit of paint going up there. I see. Yeah. Very nice.
They're making a home. So we've got a driving bit now.
Yes, the plan to block the entrance.
Blocking the entrances
with trucks, because they've just as soon as they realise how great it is, they've also realised that someone else is definitely going to want to come to this great place that we have stolen.
So let's block it in, keep everyone out. And that involves just ploughing into zombies in the trucks as well, which, again, is fun.
This is the moment where Roger, he starts yeehawing a little bit too much for his own good.
Yeah.
Like, if he wants to become a zombie, he was going to become a yahoo, right? One or the other is going to happen in the next 24 hours. So watch him, okay?
Yes.
Watch him.
Now, the music is always great in this, in isolation. There is something about the music in this sequence that makes it feel like an educational science video from the 70s.
You learn all about Gary Gum. It's good. I fucking love this. It's so good.
You're right, though. Roger is screaming and shouting a little bit too much. He's getting a little bit too into it. He might be going zombie mad.
And there's a lot in this movie is about, when zombies are just pure impulse. They're driven to feast on flesh.
Yeah.
But there's a lot about, human impulses where we want to shop. We want nice things. We have all these different people. These are four very different characters, but they all kind of are victims of indulgence in one way, shape, or form. And the thing is that Roger loves shooting out and he loves going on a little bit of an adventure, but it's too much adventure, isn't it? And he needed a bit of mindfulness in between his adventures because now he's gone crazy.
He's gone crazy. I clocked at this point that he's got a little bit of a sort of, I'm going to say it, cheapo Jack Nicholson vibe to him a little bit.
I get you.
Yeah,
He's got a Nicholson brow.
Yeah, not slagging him off, but I think that's sort of the kind of vibe that they might have been going for with this particular character. Also, this is the bit where we've got the Demon Days sample happening, the gorillas bit. And again, we've got more, I'm just listing nice stuff that we've got. The special effects of, heads being shot is pretty good.
Stuff. This is some of the best FX tricky on the PlayStation 3 that you get in the entire movie. I'll tell you what, Roger, you got to close that door. You're going to let the heat out and the zombies in.
Uh-oh.
You're crazy. You're fired.
I also made the same note that it must be either fun or terrible making this as a zombie extra. I think they either had a great day out or a terrible. And there's one who looks like Paul McCartney.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like, from my experience of doing extras work, if you are a bottom of the barrel, completely unimportant extra, that's the way to be, because you can have a bit of fun then.
Yeah.
If you're someone who has any sort of responsibility or has to do something that, necessitates an action of the actual actors, that's a nightmare, because you get paid the same, but you also have lots of instructions and lots of... You will not be treated worse in life in the acting space than as an extra. Right. So I would think if you're one of the background zombies dressed up as fucking Ringo or whatever, you can look about. Yeah. I think that Harry Krishna zombie was probably working double time.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right there. So Roger, he forgot his bag, and Peter's like, oh, fuck, we got to go.
Okay, look, being crazy and, taking your life in your own hands, I can put up all that, but you're fucking leaving shit behind now. That's...
Come on, man, get it together.
No cure for that.
In trying to get it together, he gets torn apart.
Yes. A couple of big chomps taken out of him.
He's not dead, but he has been fully bit, trying to get his bag back.
Do you think that if we did a modern zombie movie that it wouldn't be as dangerous because of shrinkflation? The chomps would be so small that the zombies take... That'd be like, what happened there? Did you get a mosquito? It's like, no, that's a zombie bite these days.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Seriously. Go out and have a toffee crisp. You'll fucking laugh. You'll become the Joker. You'll laugh and then you'll go insane.
As I mentioned before, it's very handy that America's got literal gun shops because they're just stocking up on their weapons in the gun shop.
Handy. I would have went there first, honestly.
I've realised what... all the kind of breakfast and cup of tea making close-up shots in Shaun of the Dead and most Edgar Wright things have taken inspiration from. When they're getting locked and loaded and getting all their guns and putting their bullets in things, those quick close-ups of everything has obviously had a huge, direct, unapologetic, clear influence on Edgar Wright's filmmaking.
I like that he does it. I like that he kept doing it and continues to do it. I say, time to grow up and be a big boy. And either ditch that childish shite or be a real man and make a movie that's just that.
Yeah. Only those shots.
Just that.
Yeah. Oh.
Come out with such a fucking headache.
So they're all geared up. Roger's in a little wheelbarrow with a gun.
Oh, that's fun.
It's such a fun system.
I'd honestly, if the position is available, I'll happily be the barrow boy with the gun.
And tell you what, it genuinely works for a bit. Like, they're just like wheeling him around, turning him around. He's popping off at everyone.
How would you get on with that keychain? Because it gave me quite acute worry when I saw them taking out that big ring of keys.
Yeah. Why did it make you worry so much?
I'd get the wrong one, and then a zombie would fucking eat me.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure, that many keys.
It's a lot. No, it's not a lot of pressure. It's a lot of keys.
It's a lot of keys. How many keys is the maximum amount of keys for you to have with you at any one time?
Well, these days...
How many keys you got on you? Not now, but like on you, when you take your keys out, how many keys have you got?
I have 3 keys.
Yeah.
Front door, back door, gate key.
Yeah.
But when I was a science teacher, I had a whole bundle of science keys. I had classroom, staff room, science closet.
Did you have the little colourful things on the top to differentiate which one's which, or did you just know from the shape?
I used to have those, but I found they perished too easily.
Okay.
So I was fortunate that when I had my most amount of keys, they were all very, very individually recognisable keys. And even those 3 keys I have now, they're all different shapes.
Yeah.
I used to have a set of keys where I lived before where I was only able to tell them apart because of how old they all were. So they had different degrees of tarnishing. Then I got a new set made, and I couldn't get into my own house for 2 minutes.
Yeah, because eventually you will just...
Eventually.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Elimination,
It's too many keys, too many keys.
What I need to do is, in this situation, is I'd need to take the key out that I need, hold it in front of me, and then walk towards the thing, like I'm a video game character. Wait a minute, that key,
There's a shot of a zombie grabbing Roger's leg, his injured leg, and it just...
Genuine jump scare for me.
It just mushes and pops like a balloon. I think it might literally have just been full of liquid. It's amazing.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst. If you ever had a bad cut, and any amateur chefs among us, we've all had them, get a bad cut and you think that it's okay, and then you take off the plaster and you reopen it. No, it's like that times a million. It's the worst. Oh, also, you're going to become a zombie. That's also bad.
That's also bad. They get a bit of driving around the mall in a fucking car.
Yeah, it's like the Blues Brothers, this bit, except there's a lot more shooting. And I thought, if the Blues Brothers had guns, you might have enjoyed that movie more.
Maybe. But we get the silly science video music again, because that's the driving music.
It's fun, Sam.
It's fun. And did you like Zombie with a Catcher Mitt?
Yes.
Which sounds like a Smith song, but it's not.
It's serious. But no, I really like that you've got all these kind of costume shop zombies. There's like a football player, there's a nun, there's all these very
Plumber's Mate.
Plumber's Mate. Sexy zebra, evil plumber's mate, brackets Wario. My favourite one is, and this is legitimate, evil plumber's mate's brother, which is Waluigi.
Wow.
That is a costume that is available. What were those really horrible, offensive ones that Asda sold a few years back?
Oh, I
where
can't
it was
remember.
like man with mental health problems costume, or whatever it is.
Anyway, right. They've managed to successfully lock all the zombies away or kill all the zombies. We don't need to worry about the zombies, so they say.
Easy peasy. But maybe the real zombies are within us, or dark hearts.
Oh, no, it's Roger who's been bit by a zombie.
Right.
So he's kind of becoming a zombie.
No, it's not capitalism, folks. It's just a zombie. It's okay.
He got bit. So he
got bit.
He's going zombie crazy. But in a kind of cute way where he's like, didn't we whip him? We whipped him good, didn't we? And
we
did, mate. Yeah.
You know what? I think the kindest thing you could do in this situation, and it doesn't need to be zombie bite, it could be any situation where you're dying. I think that if I know that I've only got 3 or 4 days to live, I'm going to be I've got all these really strong instincts inside of me to be annoying all the time. If I hear your voice, I'm going to imitate it. I'm going to hum things loudly, make annoying noises. I really try to not, but my last few days, if I got 3 days left like Roger here, I'm going to be like, boo, everyone says something to me, I'm going to imitate them back, so that when I die, I'll lessen the blow. I'll lessen the burden. They'll have their grief, but they'll have their relief. And that is how I want to go.
Or the twist in the movie is you'll take off your bandage and there's no bite and you've just been using it as an excuse to be
I've got to be pushed around in a wheelbarrow for a day. Yeah, joke's on you. I never even lost my bag.
We're into the bit where the gang are just kind of living, They're just having fun, despite the fact that one of them is becoming a zombie. They're still just...
They're not living, they're living it up. That's different.
Stealing money and just be like, you never know. And like waving at the CCTV like, oh, we've nicked all this money away. It's cute. This is genuinely like cute, nice playing house stuff that I like.
It's so fun, this.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore any time seeing what is considered like, you can do whatever you want, but it's 1970 whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm fascinated always by like fine dining menus from like ye olden times. I found this thing a while ago where it's like, this is the menu that was served at the inaugural dinner for every president since like the 1700s. So seeing like, what would the most powerful, wealthy people in the world eat in 1919? And you get to find out. So seeing what is the best thing you could hope to do. Well, you can wear some pretty cool fucking shoes, some bell-bottom trousers. You can go to a prototypical arcade. You can eat olives.
There's a Duck Hunt type game called Quack, but it's spelled Quack.
Yes!
I want to play Quack. I don't know if Quack even exists. That arcade looks fucking great. And if you put a bit of Granddaddy Bleedoo-doo-doo-dee-doo in the background
That's
of this...
exactly it, yes. One small note, though. I know it is not modern times, so judging this movie by modern standards and sensibilities is perhaps unfair in some people's opinion. But you keep the zombies and the meat in separate freezers. It's gross.
Yeah, shut it down.
Imagine Gordon goes in there and he gets bitten by a zombie.
There's zombies in there.
You have to separate the brain from the... No compassion.
Kevin, it's maybe been a while since you've done this. I'm not sure. Would you like to do the quotes from the poster in your inimitable style, please?
Because last episode I should have been like, we've got 7 days to find this sicko. I didn't do it though, did I?
No.
It's like my grandfather used to always say to me, when there's no more room in Kells, we'll go to Navan instead. There you go. A little bit of County Meath humour there for the Irish listeners amongst you. And those of you from the rest of the world, you're thinking, he made that up. You have to go and find out.
You got to do the legwork.
Yeah, do the legwork.
So Roger's all fucked up here. He's on the turn. He keeps being like, I'm going to try not to come back.
Don't make those promises.
I'm going to try.
That's another thing you do to really wind someone up, like becoming a zombie, be like, I'm not going to become a zombie. You did, and you farted. Stop it.
He only wants to be killed if he's definitely a zombie, but he's also acting real weird, so it's hard to know.
I'm kind of like looking forward to him becoming a zombie at this stage. He's so fucking irritating.
Yeah.
Tell you what, you thought Question Time was tense
during
the 2019 general election. You should check it out during the post-apocalypse. Dr. Eyepatch, I rescind my calm that I took from you.
Yeah.
A, don't call me a dummy. B, your so-called plan to feed zombies, nuke our cities, and give them all PlayStation 5s is simply ludicrous and untenable.
It's escalated very quickly from him being a calming presence to being like, nuke 'em all. But, it's showing that society at large is also struggling to deal with this crisis.
I blame the scientists first and foremost,
Sick of experts.
So it turns out Roger, as well as being crazy and also being a zombie, also has broken his promise because he's come back as a zombie.
And the zombie makeup in 4K HDR is pretty gross.
I once watched this movie on my own when I was a teenager after seeing it before, and this bit on my own, I had to turn it off and go upstairs, and I immediately went to bed and had a nightmare. I don't like how Roger looks here. He looks very serious in a horrible way.
I would argue, and I'm not saying this to sound brave, that this is the only scary bit. The only truly scary part is this for me in this watching of it.
But are you defining scary as like I am right now scared, as opposed to the cumulative chill that the movie is perhaps trying to give you?
It's certainly the most chilling bit is that straight ahead look from Roger as scary zombie.
This is probably then the scariest thing in all of Romero's work you've seen so far, because I don't think you were particularly scared at all during Night of the Living Dead.
I don't think either of them are scary.
You can be horror without being scary? Is that...
Yeah, you can have horror themes, but not necessarily be directly scary. I think these are quite funny, quite witty in a way. Maybe not witty.
I'd say there's a wit there.
It's actually satire. I don't know if you've seen Dawn of the Dead, but it's actually a very cutting satire.
It's a satire about zombies.
It's not a coincidence that they've gone to a shopping mall, is it? What does that say about those Americans at that time,
You'd never see it over here. You'd never see shopping centres here. Now, obviously, we have the shopping centre in Mullingar, but that's besides the point. We wouldn't go there.
I think in a British Dawn of the Dead, they just go to Harvester, wouldn't they? They just go to a Harvester.
Good luck getting a table, is all I'll say. Calling you out.
So it's time for Roger to he gets shot by Peter.
Where in the shopping centre do you think is best to be buried? Because I don't know if there's any... I'm thinking of the Trafford Centre, and I'd have to be one of the auxiliary sites. I'd have to be in the Palazzo, I think, if I was to be buried anywhere.
I think just hide me under a pile of coats in one of the outdoorsy shops.
Just leave me in the refuse baskets in the Blanchardstown shopping centre and we'll be fine.
Yeah. So Fran and Stephen, kind of immediately after Roger has died, in terms of the editing of the film at least, get to have a nice little romantic meal together with Peter acting as a waiter.
It's very sweet.
It's very cute. Stephen does a little proposal, but Fran makes the argument that it wouldn't be real. Not yet. Let's wait until all those zombies have gone and everything's back to normal.
Well, wait to kill the vibe.
Yes.
By doing a public proposal. There's the twist. Even if there's zombies, that counts.
Now, there's a shot then of them in bed together, both naked, just staring and looking sad as fuck. And that's not a scary shot, but it was definitely a kind of visually upsetting. The vibes were very, very poor there.
No one has to articulate at any point that, despite having everything that we need, that we are feeling an encroaching sense of emptiness.
Yes.
That shot, that look that they both give, fills in all the blank CDs.
It does. And then there's some weird... I mean, the music is... I can't stress this enough. Great. But the electric piano bit after that is so, like, spooky and glum and just, like, depressing.
Honestly, listen to this soundtrack while walking around your favourite mall. Do that at home and you'll have I don't say a whale of a time, but it's a heck of a time.
Yeah.
And it's free as well.
The mood just goes back and forth. I mean, it's all feeling a bit hopeless. There's no telly broadcasts.
Nothing but fondue, poker, and unchilled hard liquor. It's not a way I'd like to live, Sam.
But there's a successful helicopter lesson, so that's nice, and that's a cute little moment where you can fly the helicopter. And everything is fine, and they all lived happily ever... What's that over there?
Oh no! Racist raiders!
It's a gang of biker raiders.
And look, you know you want to find out immediately when you're speaking to anyone on the phone. First question I always ask, are you wearing an SS helmet? I won't say anything more until I find that out. And yes, he is. He's wearing an SS helmet.
Yes.
Even though this is quite a multicultural, mixed gender gang.
Yeah.
But their leaders seem to be absolutely... Like, there's loads of Nazi paraphernalia scattered amongst these biker raider sorts.
Is that like
they want in?
Is that like Sid Vicious wearing the swastika underpants and it's just provocative? You know, it's hey man, it's punk to put Nazi shit on.
I'm a Nazi.
Dude.
I'm so provoked right now. I don't know. If I didn't know better from his accent, I swore this guy would have served in World War II for the baddies because he was decked out head to toe in all the garb.
Yeah.
And their radio etiquette is shocking. No over.
No.
You know?
And they're all like... you know, go way in the background. Like, shut up, guys! I'm trying to order this pizza, and it's like they just can't be quiet. These guys, they're giving themselves away.
Grabs him like, if you don't bring this pizza out, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Fun story time about something like that. Now,
please.
When I was in school, the place where we used to order pizza from, it burnt down once. And then the next time it opened up after that, a boy I knew was ordering a pizza and got very frustrated that they misheard him so many times because of his thick accent, and then screamed down the phone, if you don't deliver this fucking pizza in the next 20 minutes, I'll come back and burn the fucking place down again. And nothing happened. He just got a pizza, which may have been spat on now that you think about it.
Yeah, 100%.
I would have popped in and given it a quick spit myself. I don't even work there.
But worse than Spitty Pizza, we've got this gang of raiders coming to cause all sorts of trouble. Well, you think so.
Upset.
And then it just gets very Beastie Boys Fight for Your Right to Party video.
And the zombies took away your best porno, man. What I like to do is I'd like to find live footage, because I think the Beastie Boys are great. I like to find live footage. The more recent, the better. The older they are, the better. And then if they play that song, go to that bit. And your mom took away your best porno, man. And some of the audience is like, what's that?
But they're literally throwing fucking custard pies at the zombies. Like, these raiders have come in to just fight for their right to zombie. They're just, they're having a slapstick time here.
You know what, Sam? I think they've really shit the bed here. Being a raider is a lost art, I believe. They really let us down here. But they do succeed in riling up Slimy Steve, I like to call him. Slimy Steve, we call him here. He's suddenly very protective of his patch, and even though the initial idea is, hey, let's let them come in, they'll bring in the zombies, they'll probably take care of each other, and we can, take a back seat here. But they can't help but start firing on their fellow man, and another shootout ensues.
I mean, fuck me, whatever budget they had left...
Every cent went on it here.
Yeah, let's use all the fun effects that we had the ideas for, and we've still got budget for. Let's
max out all the remaining student loans.
Machete through the head, decapitation, explosion, disembowelment, bikes driving through stuff, a big lad falling into a waterfall. Just keep going, keep shooting, keep doing stuff. If you want to do it, just try it, see if it works.
And George A. Romero's like sweating while he's directing this because it's so fucking much. Like, come on, heart rate's up now. He's in his zone.
And fucking hell, old slippery Stephen, he goes into the fucking lift shaft. The one place I told him not to go.
Well, we like to call him Sumptuous Stephen, because he's so easy to eat, his flesh falls right off the bone. So Sumptuous Stephen, we call him here. He gets eaten. Flyboy,
yes.
More like Die Boy, and come back to life as a zombie boy.
Yes.
That's what's happened with him now.
Can I just mention that I think one of either the Raiders or someone goes and puts his arm in a blood pressure monitor.
Not the time.
For seemingly while getting chased by zombies, seemingly for no reason, just so you can do a little cut to the blood pressure monitor, be like, oh, he's dying, like as he's being ripped to bits by zombies. They did what they could with what they had. They just kept going.
Is there ever a good time to have your blood pressure taken?
No, and it's always going to be influenced by the fact that you are aware that you're having your blood pressure taken is going to affect your blood pressure, I believe.
Like, I remember one time I had a checkup and it was like right at the end of a really fucking hellaciously busy day. But it was the only doctor's appointment there was.
Yeah.
And I remember I came into the fucking doctor's office and I was sweating and panting. I was like, I am fucking dead on my feet here. And they're like, right, we're going to take your blood pressure. And I was like, oh God, here it comes. And then it was fine. And like afterwards, but like the problem was that I didn't feel good about that. Afterwards, I felt like, is my doctor's got like faulty equipment? Is my normal blood pressure maybe a sign, a flag of some sort?
Oh, yeah.
Some sort of other, and so it's no good. It's no good. Never do it, particularly when there's zombies.
I'm afraid, Mr. Mahan, you're just simply too normal.
I don't want to hear that. I want to go to the doctors to find out how much of a fucking freak I am. So we've got cred with the boys on the street.
Yeah, so Stephen, he's been bit to bits in this lift shaft.
His effects when he come back as a zombie are very... And he's acting the fucking circles around these other zombies.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Also, the music in the background here for some of this, that... It goes...
Hey!
That's in Shaun of the Dead, isn't it? Or it's...
It is.
Or is it on the DVD menu of Shaun of the Dead?
Both.
Okay, yeah, because I'm very familiar with that little bit of music.
They used to chant at Everton games, but then, political correctness makes fools of us all, even the Golden Gunners.
Tell you what, poor old Peter has had a terrible time having to shoot a couple of his old mate and his new mate.
You had to kill too many folks,
Yes. And so it's just down to Fran and Peter now, and they're getting to the chopper. Get to the chopper.
But they're being pursued by a horde of zombies. And yes, Stinky Steve, as we like to call him, he has been dispatched.
Yep.
But there's this... I feel like they flipped a coin here. And I've always went back and forth in this ending. Because there's an ending where... Roger stays down, he gets eaten. Or there's an ending where he stays there, he gets eaten or whatever it is, or gets attacked. But this fucking A-team ass fucking triumphant,
kicking him.
He literally sparks out the zombies, and then they get onto their chopper, and they're like, "Well, we don't have much fuel." So you have again another triumphant moment, tinged with the creeping dread of what's to come ahead.
Yes.
And I don't mind saying, Sam, that, warts and all, because I do think, the biggest fail I've ever had with this movie is trying to show to other people when I was younger. It was, thinking that the movie on its surface comes across how it makes me feel as a big fan of it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, because there is a lot of, jank, I guess you want to call it, in there.
Yeah, sure.
But I've come to appreciate that, and I think that is that is a big part of its charm for me. But you mentioned that you did have a good time.
I did, yes.
The stumbling blocks, if any, the cheapness, did it stop you from enjoying the movie more, do you think?
No, it wasn't so cheap that it was off-putting. It was so...
It wasn't stingy.
It wasn't stingy, no.
It's a generous movie.
They were very resourceful. And that's... I'm not even saying it looked cheap. It just was a lower budget movie. But they've done the best that they could possibly do here. It's really fun to watch this. And the story is relatively simple in that we've got 4 characters and they're stuck in a shopping mall.
There's always stuff to get on a rewatch with this as well, I'll say. You'll notice things about the way people act, or kind of the way people kind of telegraph things they're going to do and stuff like that. I know you don't tend to rewatch a lot of the Swirl movies, but I would say this one, I would contend it would be a very good one for you to have another look at a later date.
I agree, and I think maybe more so than any film we've watched on Swirl, this is one of those ones where it just feels nice to hang out in the space with the characters, to just be in the zombie shopping mall and it's just a fun hang, guys. It's just
70s American mall is always going to be fun for us here in modern times in another country. It's novelty upon novelty. And the music, I mean, you could have had an absolute dire movie, and this music alone, like we have watched dire movies over on Cinema Swill, and we've raved about the music so much that kind of like always a good sign that you're looking at vinyl of the various vinyl versions of the soundtrack whilst watching the movie.
Oh, there'll be shitloads of this one.
There's quite some pickings to go through, I'll say, yes.
If someone hasn't done a splatter variant, they're leaving money on the fucking table. The fools.
Exactly so. Yeah. So what was the thing about it overall that you think you enjoyed the most? Because I don't think, there's a lot of people who probably think this movie has failed for you because it's meant to be a horror movie.
Yes.
It's a horror classic.
Yeah.
You didn't really feel scared throughout. And I think that's maybe not your measure of success for it.
No, it wasn't scary, but I think this is one of those times where I realise what a lot of people enjoy about horror movies, particularly old horror movies, is that kind of, they're more just fun movies to watch. And there's a bit of schlockiness to this, but not too much, I'd say. It's a bit
for the time. It's actually somewhat reserved. At points. You know, because it's a wet movie, but I wouldn't describe it as gory necessarily.
No,
even though there is blood and there is flesh and there is splatter.
The word that keeps coming up into my mind is just fun. It's like fun. It's a fun film. There are like sad bits and there are kind of quite grim bits, but for the most part,
there's a lot of ennui in this movie, I think.
Yeah, but the music, the atmosphere, the setting, the special effects are either actually quite gruesome or silly enough that you're going to have a laugh watching someone's flesh be torn apart.
I should mention as well, I'm not sure if you clocked this, completely slipped me by, but Tom Savini, he was in this. He was one of the not the guy in the SS helmet, the other guy with the mustache and the leather jacket, the machete. Yeah. That was Tom Savini, which you probably would have noticed from the fact that guy gets to do some of the he gets to do the machete bit, he gets to do some of the really cool bits.
Okay. Yeah.
He did really well in it as well. I think he's actually quite chilling in that kind of enthusiastic psychopath type of a way.
I think this really, more so than Night of the Living Dead, sets the template for zombies, and you can see so much influence on so much other stuff. Hugely.
Remind me though, like, have you seen like The Walking Dead or played, Resident Evils and stuff like that? We chatted about this a little bit in Night of the Living Dead.
I've watched my brother play a lot of Resident Evils.
That's it. Yeah.
I've played some of the more recent Resident Evils, the first person ones mostly.
Okay.
And I've watched a bit of Walking Dead. I've watched a bit of The Last of Us.
Does this make you more interested? Because I think a lot of people could have not seen this movie. Seen a lot of modern zombie stuff. And my assumption is you go back and see this, you'll be like, oh, why isn't the modern zombie stuff as like this, as thoughtful as this, or whatever it is? Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that when I think about zombie stuff and I'm thinking about like Walking Dead and The Last of Us telly stuff and some film stuff, it's quite sad and fucking serious. Which is good, and there's some good stories in there, particularly in The Last of Us. I really enjoyed that. But there's something to be said in how successful Shaun of the Dead was, because that is a silly zombie movie. And I would argue that Dawn of the Dead is also a somewhat silly zombie movie.
I mean, they throw pies, Sam, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. I think if you're dealing with zombies, you've got to have a little bit of fun with it, and this has plenty of fun with it. And
as Roy Chubby Brown would breathlessly say between racist jokes, but you have to laugh, ladies and gentlemen.
You have to laugh. You just have to. And I laughed, and I was thoroughly entertained. I was never bored.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, well, on that note, we're wrapping up, so we might as well find out what your Star Wipe rating is for Dawn of the Dead, brackets 1978.
This is easy peasy for me to decide here, because it's not perfect, pretty clearly, and that's part of its charm. This is a, solid 4-star white movie.
You heard it here first.
Oh, thanks for listening to another episode of Cinema Swirl. This episode was produced by Kevin, edited by me, Sam, and I also did the music. If you want to support the show, then patreon.com/cinemaswirl is the way to go. If you want to follow us on the socials, we're at Cinema Swirl on Twitter and facebook.com/cinemaswirl on Facebook, which is where our votes for episodes take place. If you've got questions, queries, comments, or anything else for the mailbag, then send it on over to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Please do keep recommending the show to your friends if you think they'll like it, or even if you don't think they'll like it, just recommend it anyway. Alright, we'll see you next time. Cheers, bye!